This is the second day in a row where we've had to put together a special emergency podcast system episode of Rumble with Michael Moore. I'm Michael Moore. Thank you for listening to this. Today, the U.S. Senate seceded from the country. Today, the U.S. Senate seceded from the Union. The U.S. Senate broke away from the United States of America. They denounced our Constitution. They disobeyed their oath. At 4:41 p.m. Eastern Time, the U.S. Senate voted to let Donald Trump off after he had tried to bribe and extort the president of a foreign country to help him fix our 2020 election. The Senate, on the two counts, voted 52 to 48 not guilty on count number one, the abuse of power count, and on count number two, the abuse of Congress charge. They voted 53 to 47 in favor of Trump being not guilty. In doing so, they decided to say that the President of the United States had the power to break the law whenever he chose. They even, many of them, admitted that what he did was wrong, but nonetheless was not reason to remove him from power, and instantly made all of us much less safe. The U.S. Senate has seceded from the country. The Republicans in the Senate, with the exception of Mitt Romney from Utah, declared war on the rest of us. One by one, they stood and yelled, "Not guilty," when he was exactly guilty of everything and more that he was charged with. The last time elected American officials declared that the president could commit treason was when the senators from the southern states elected their own president, formed their own constitution for the Confederate States of America, and elected Jefferson Davis in a blatant act of treason. Today, these Republicans allowed Donald Trump to commit his act of treason, his act to try to impact our election, and I made myself watch it on television this afternoon, maybe in part because I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that even these Republican senators, they know right from wrong. They have a conscience. And yet they stood with the traitor. They said, we're going to ignore the Constitution. We're going to forget that we took this oath of office. And now we are in a very dark moment. They've given the president a free pass to commit whatever crimes of his choosing. So here's what's going to happen. Trump is a recidivist. He's a serial con man, a serial rapist, a serial abuser of employees, a serial liar, and on and on and on. He will take the Senate's vote of not guilty today as permission to keep breaking the law, but in ways, I promise you, in ways that will shock even you and me. And in doing so, he will frighten the entire country finally to act. What the next whistleblower will tell us, it will send the nation into a tailspin. You think this bribery and extortion of the president of Ukraine was as bad as it could get? This will look like play school compared to what he's going to do now. Mark my words. That extortion phone call with the Ukrainian president was the day after the Mueller hearing let Trump off the hook. He was so giddy, so excited. He knew he could do what he was doing, putting the screws to the president of Ukraine. I can guarantee you, as sure as I can promise you, that Eric and Don Jr. are right now carving up an African lion, that Donald J. Trump has already committed a new felony and will commit a second one before the end of Colbert's monologue tonight. He did more than this Ukrainian call in his first 3 years. You know it. He said and did things that were so illegal, so abusive of his office, and his people loyal to him in the White House had to hide what he's done in these 3 years on that secret server where they hid the Ukrainian phone call that the whistleblower, and only the whistleblower, told us about. Without the whistleblower, we'd know none of this. We wouldn't even know that server existed. And we all know he didn't just do this once in these first 3 years. Well, I'll tell you what, he's going to be doing a lot more of it. And they probably won't be so worried about having to hide it so much this time. So get ready, folks. There's going to be a crime spree, a crime wave, a Trump crime wave. Now, we won't know about most of it, but there will be other whistleblowers. There will be people of conscience who will just say, I can't take this anymore. I have to tell somebody. That's what's going to happen. There will be another whistleblower. And when you hear the next thing he's done, I know we're all going to feel like, oh my God, we can't go through impeachment again. We may have to. And it should be quick. Quick and painless. Make this Senate stand up a second or a third or a fourth time and say, yes, I am behind the criminal. I am behind the extortionist. I am behind the traitor. Yes, me. And let's see what happens to them come November. This will have a good ending, but it will not be good on the way there. So get ready for the fight. Trump will not go easily. We can win. We can succeed, but it will only happen when we make it happen. It won't happen by us hitting like on our Facebook or the heart on our Instagram. We are going to have to take to the streets nonviolently. We're going to have to surround the White House. We're going to have to surround the Republican Party headquarters. We're going to have to do whatever we can with nonviolence. Remember, we are the majority. The majority of Americans agree with us. They agree with us on Trump's crimes. They agree with us on impeachment. They agree with us on every issue, as I tell you in virtually every other podcast, that we are not alone in this. We are the majority. And the way we're going to win between now and November is we're going to activate the 110 million people who are non-voters. We won't get all of them to vote. We may not even get half of them to vote. But if we could get a few million of them, and you know who they are. They're in your family. They're in your neighborhood. They're at your workplace. They're good people. They're just sick and tired of the whole stinking mess. And they gave up, and they don't want to participate anymore. We'll give them a reason to participate on Election Day, on primary day, on the primaries that are happening right now. Action. Action. We must take action. We have no choice at this point. You know that. And you can't just say, I'm just so tired of all this. I'm so tired of it. It was so difficult to sit there watching the State of the Union last night, putting a Medal of Freedom on the man who invented hate radio, who helped bring us to this ugly, ugly point we're at, Rush Limbaugh. But at the end, how invigorated were you? How much did you feel like, yes, yes, that's exactly how I feel. Yes, Nancy Pelosi. That's what she did to his speech. Just like that. And then threw it down on the desk behind him because she's a badass. And we all have to be badasses right now. This is our country. This is not the country of these Republican senators who they themselves, in essence, broke the law today because they broke our Constitution by standing with Trump. Do not despair. There are millions and millions more of us, but it will not be our country unless we stand up for it. Thank you for listening to this emergency podcast system episode of Rumble with Michael Moore. I am Michael Moore, and I'm going to do my damnedest. I promise you that. Promise me you'll participate in even the smallest of ways. You love this country, and you love the people in it, and you love this planet. I know you do. Action. Now.